Hello everybody, my name is Daniel, and I give Avengers Endgame an A. We're 22 movies into the MCU, and Avengers Endgame wraps up the now titled Infinity Saga. This deals with the events after Infinity War. Half of all life in the universe is gone, and our remaining Avengers are left to handle the aftermath. With a cast of characters that pretty much makes up every actor in Hollywood, we tend to get lost in the enormity of how many people are here, but I want to bring it back to the OG, Robert Downey Jr. We get to see the most of Robert Downey Jr.'s range, ranging from the most tender to the most ferocious to the most terrified. It's not Robert Downey Jr. anymore. Has it ever really been? It's always been Tony Stark, and I think this is easily his best performance as the character. This movie has so many masters to feed. You know, you've got the sequel to Infinity War, you got to tie back to everything in the MCU, you've got to make the comic fans happy, and you have to work as your own movie. And I think the screenplay by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely nail every element just right. Talking to my dad, he mentioned that not a minute felt wasted, and that's true. This is one of the leanest MCU movies, despite being 3 hours long. And some people may complain about the slower pacing in the beginning, but if you really wanted a 3-hour action smorgasbord, just go watch Transformers. One of the problems I had with Infinity War was a jumbled tone. It didn't know when to let a moment breathe, and sometimes it would just interject a joke that I felt kind of broke the tension of the moment. But the great thing about Endgame is that it's paced so well that you get the stone cold trauma in the beginning, and as a little bit of hope and adventure starts to climb in, that's when you put in the jokes, and that's when you start getting back to this sort of rousing comic book adventure. I sat next to a grandma who had not seen Infinity War, had only seen a couple of the MCU movies, but the movie's paced and structured well enough that on a basic level, people can just understand it. And I think each character's arcs and emotional drama is set up so clearly and so well that even somebody who isn't a devotee of the MCU can really handle it. So, for the most part, I wouldn't say go into this completely blind. If there are any problems I have with the movie, the main one, outside of some tension, tone-breaking jokes, would be the kind of sensory overload of the final battle. Now, this is something I've struggled with the Russo's MCU films since Winter Soldier. There will be moments of kind of this handheld, shaky flurry of chaos, and then you'll see a character moment. Maybe you will have to see it 2-3 times to start getting every bit of the action. But even something as simple as Captain America fighting Thanos, there were some cuts where I was like, wait, what happened? Like, the camera just blurred here. I can't really quite get what happened. It's not as smooth as I would like it to be. But that's... whenever you see the character moments that break up those flurries of chaos, they more than make up for it. So to wrap this up, I'm thinking about franchises, and I'm thinking about the once-in-a-generation thing. When we look at something like Star Wars, people have used that as an allegory for the Vietnam War. So I like this idea of sort of a collective myth for people. Movies can kind of convey what society is feeling at the time. And what I think the MCU is handling is something... I think it started as a response to the Bush administration, the weapons of mass destruction fiasco, and this idea of, we've got so much power, how do we responsibly use it? And I think Endgame ultimately handles something like a three-headed dragon, a King Ghidorah, so you speak, of trauma, power, and heroism. With this movie, we get to see how such a catastrophic, I mean, half of all life in the universe is gone, throughout all our characters, not just Iron Man, but you see it in Thor, you see it in Black Widow. You know, we can let trauma kind of take us over, and we can either hide in trying to gain power, we can hide in living in excess, we can just be crippled into fear and not knowing what to do. As a response to trauma, we can seek power, but power is corrupting. We see that in Thanos. The trauma of his planet was that people were dying, and so Thanos' idea was to just gain so much power that he could fix it. But power is not enough. If you're a sociopath megalomaniac like Thanos, you ultimately don't value life, and as much as you say you're doing things for the common good, you're really just killing people. It's committing genocide. So if power has the ability to corrupt, what is the most responsible way to handle trauma? I think the MCU answers that with heroism. The Avengers have to avenge something. Something has to be made wrong in order for them to make it right. And I think that's the most responsible way you can handle power. Basically, you even out the score. If someone doesn't have any power, you use yours to help them rise to a good level. You respond to your own failures by saying, you know, I know what's good, I know what's right, and no matter what happens, I will always fight for what's good. And to see that built up as part of this collective American myth in a post-9/11 world, I think that makes for some strong messaging. It may not be the most subtle thing in the world, but does it really need to be? I think the medicine is better served with this popcorn comic book blockbuster extravaganza. And for that extravaganza to end on such a honestly mature and strong note makes me really happy and excited to see how Marvel can continue delivering such myths and ideas and start reflecting more of our society in the future. That's my time. Thank you all very much for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and like it. You know, share, subscribe, click the notification bell, because I don't have as rigid of a schedule as other YouTubers, so that little bell will be really handy in letting you know when I maybe finally post another video. Let me know what you thought about Avengers Endgame in the comments below. I'm keeping this comment section spoiler free. If you want to talk spoilers, I've got a spoiler review that I'm going to put at the end of the video, so y'all can talk about the nitty-gritty of Avengers there. But until I see y'all in the next video, take care and bye.